They gave him the blind daughter as a joke, but he gave her his last name and a home. Rahim grew up in a small town where life moved slowly and people knew everyone's business. His family had a small shop near the market, selling daily groceries. It was not a big business, but it provided them with a modest living. From a young age, Rahim learned the value of hard work. He would wake up early to help his parents, arrange goods on the shelves, and greet customers with a polite smile. His father often said, "Rahim, a kind heart is more valuable than gold." Rahim never forgot those words. He was a quiet young man. He did not spend much time with friends outside, not because he disliked them, but because he found joy in simple things. Reading books, helping his parents, and occasionally taking walks through the village streets. People in the town knew him as a responsible, humble, and helpful young man. He never sought attention, but everyone respected him. One evening, Rahim's family received visitors. It was a gathering meant to discuss marriage proposals, something very common in their town. Families often arranged meetings to find suitable matches for their children. Rahim had never rushed into thinking about marriage. He believed that if the right person came along, it would happen naturally. But this evening was different. Rahim's relatives had heard about a girl named Amina and wanted to see if Rahim would consider her. Amina was known in the town as a kind and gentle girl, but she was blind. People whispered about her as though her blindness made her life incomplete. Some families even joked about her, thinking no one would seriously consider marrying her. But Rahim's parents, being wise and thoughtful, did not share the same mockery. They knew that kindness, intelligence, and character mattered more than physical ability. Rahim listened quietly as his relatives described her. While some laughed and called it a joke, Rahim felt a strange calm. There was no fear or hesitation, only curiosity and a desire to meet her. The next day, Rahim visited Amina's home with his parents. He was careful not to make assumptions about her life or abilities. When Amina greeted him, her face lit up with a warm smile. Her eyes, though blind, reflected a quiet strength. She spoke softly, but her words were full of thought and clarity. As they talked, Rahim noticed how intelligently she carried herself, asking questions about his life and sharing her own experiences. Despite the whispers of the town, Rahim felt a connection he could not explain. Rahim's heart did not see her blindness. It saw her personality, her kindness, and her courage to live independently in a world that often looked down on her. He realized that people laughed at her because they didn't understand her strength. Rahim was different. He felt respect and admiration for her resilience. That evening, as he walked back home, he thought about what it meant to truly see someone. It was not about what they could or could not do with their eyes. It was about the heart, the soul, and the way they treated others. However, the town was not kind to such decisions. As soon as word spread that Rahim was considering marrying Amina, neighbors and distant relatives began to comment. Some criticized him openly, calling it a foolish choice. "Why would you marry a blind girl?" they asked. "You will have a difficult life. She cannot take care of herself and your family will face shame." Rahim heard these words, but he did not react angrily. Instead, he remained calm and thoughtful. He knew that living a life guided by others' opinions would never bring happiness. What mattered most was the life he envisioned with someone he could love and respect. His parents supported him quietly. His father reminded him, "Son, it is not the eyes that see the world. It is the heart that understands. If you feel this is right, then follow it." His mother nodded, her eyes filled with pride. She had always admired her son's sense of responsibility and empathy. Rahim felt a deep sense of gratitude. He knew the decision would not be easy. Challenges awaited, both in society and in their personal lives, but he felt ready to face them. When Rahim finally expressed his willingness to marry Amina, it shocked many. His relatives tried to discourage him, but he politely refused to listen to their doubts. The idea of marrying someone with a disability, which others considered a joke, was not a joke to Rahim. It was an opportunity to build a life based on love, respect, and shared values. He believed that true happiness was not about what others thought, but about the bond between two people who understood each other. Amina, too, was surprised. She had faced rejection and pity all her life, and she had grown used to being underestimated. But Rahim treated her differently. He did not see her blindness as a limitation. He saw her as a person with dreams, hopes, and intelligence. His decision to accept the proposal filled her with hope. For the first time, she felt that someone truly respected and valued her for who she was. Over the following weeks, the families met to discuss preparations for the marriage. Rahim and Amina spent time getting to know each other. Rahim would ask her about her daily routines, her dreams, and what made her happy. Amina shared stories about her childhood, the books she loved, and the challenges she had faced. They laughed together, exchanged ideas, and gradually built trust and understanding. Their connection grew naturally, not because it was arranged, but because they genuinely appreciated each other's hearts. Despite the external judgment, Rahim remained steadfast. He knew challenges would come, but he also knew that love, patience, and effort could overcome them. The town's laughter and whispers could not change his mind. Rahim believed in the power of human kindness, and he was ready to prove that true love and respect could triumph over prejudice. The day of the engagement came quietly. Families gathered in a modest ceremony. While some relatives still exchanged doubtful glances, Rahim and Amina were calm and happy. They smiled at each other, not needing words to express their understanding. This was the beginning of a journey that would test their patience, courage, and determination. But it was also the beginning of a story that would inspire many in the town and beyond. In those early days, Rahim often thought about what marriage truly meant. It was more than companionship or family expectations. It was about commitment, trust, and building a life together, no matter what obstacles appeared. He promised himself that he would provide Amina with love, security, and dignity. She, in turn, promised to share her life openly, with honesty and gratitude. Their hearts were aligned, and nothing else mattered. As part one of this story closes, Rahim's decision stands as a quiet act of courage. In a world quick to judge and laugh at what it does not understand, he chose empathy over mockery, respect over fear, and love over prejudice. This choice would set the stage for a life that would challenge societal norms, break stereotypes, and show the world the strength of human connection. Rahim and Amina's story had just begun, and it was already teaching a valuable lesson. True vision comes not from the eyes but from the heart. After the engagement, life for Rahim and Amina entered a new phase. While the engagement was a joyful event for their families, the reactions from the town were mixed. Some people whispered behind their backs, sharing opinions and doubts about the couple's future. Many questioned how Rahim could marry a blind girl, thinking it would bring him only hardship. Others openly joked, calling it a strange choice, as if it were humorous to marry someone with a disability. Despite these judgments, Rahim remained calm. He knew that happiness was not decided by others' opinions. What mattered was the life he would build with Amina, the respect he showed her, and the love that had already begun to grow between them. Rahim's family was supportive, yet they too understood that challenges awaited. His father often reminded him, "The world may not understand your choice, but if your heart is right, you will succeed." His mother quietly encouraged him, helping him think about ways to make Amina's life comfortable and independent. Rahim listened carefully to their advice. He knew that marrying Amina was not just about taking a vow. It was about responsibility, care, and creating a life that respected her needs and dreams. He was determined to face every challenge, no matter how small or big. Amina, for her part, was nervous. She had grown up dependent on her family for guidance, living in a world designed by people with sight. Simple things, like walking alone on the street or moving around the house, required careful attention. The idea of starting a new life with someone else was exciting but also frightening. She wondered if she could ever live independently and if she would become a burden on Rahim. Yet, whenever she spent time with him, she felt safe. Rahim treated her as an equal, not as someone to pity. He spoke with patience, listened carefully, and asked questions to understand her better. This respect and empathy gave her courage she had never felt before. As the wedding approached, Rahim started preparing their future home. He wanted it to be a place where Amina could live safely and comfortably. He rearranged the rooms, labeling items so that she could easily find what she needed. He installed tactile markers on doors, drawers, and cupboards to help her navigate. Every decision he made was thoughtful and careful, reflecting his desire to make her life easier. Rahim also began learning more about helping visually impaired people live independently. He read books, asked advice from experts, and even talked to people who had experience in guiding blind individuals. He wanted to be fully prepared to be a husband who could offer both love and practical support. However, the societal pressure did not fade. Many neighbors continued to criticize him, some even spreading rumors about his intentions. Why would he marry a blind girl? They asked. He must be looking for attention or pity. Others claimed he would regret it soon and that his family would face shame. Rahim heard these words but chose not to respond. He had realized that people would always have opinions about others' choices. The important thing was his commitment and the life he envisioned with Amina. Every criticism strengthened his determination. He wanted to prove that love and respect were far more important than appearances or societal expectations. During this period, Rahim and Amina began spending more time together, learning about each other's personalities, dreams, and fears. Rahim was fascinated by Amina's intelligence and her unique way of seeing the world. Though she could not see with her eyes, she noticed details that others often missed. She could sense emotions, understand people's intentions, and describe experiences in vivid ways that impressed Rahim. They talked for hours about books, stories, hopes for the future, and the life they wanted to build together. Each conversation deepened their connection, making them more confident about facing the challenges ahead. Amina also began learning new skills to prepare for marriage. Rahim encouraged her to practice moving around independently in the home, using tactile guides and memory. He taught her how to cook safely, manage household tasks, and navigate the neighborhood. Rahim did not rush her or make her feel pressured. Instead, he offered gentle guidance, praising her progress and helping her gain confidence. Amina was determined to show that she could be independent and capable, and Rahim's support made her feel empowered. At the same time, Rahim faced personal doubts and fears. He worried about whether he would be able to fulfill all of Amina's needs. He thought about the challenges of raising a family and handling societal judgment. At night, he would quietly reflect on his responsibilities, reminding himself why he had chosen this path. He reminded himself that real courage was not the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it. His love for Amina gave him strength, and he resolved to never let society's doubts weaken their bond. Friends and distant relatives who had initially mocked Rahim slowly began to notice his dedication. While some still doubted him, others were quietly impressed by his patience and thoughtfulness. People began to realize that his choice was not a joke, but a conscious decision guided by love and respect. Rahim did not seek their approval, but the change in perception gave him a sense of quiet satisfaction. He felt that over time, actions would speak louder than words, and his life with Amina would prove the value of empathy, kindness, and commitment. As the wedding day drew nearer, the couple faced small obstacles that tested their resolve. Some relatives tried to impose unnecessary rules or interfere in their preparations, believing that Amina could not manage household responsibilities. Others questioned Rahim's ability to handle challenges. Each obstacle was met with calm determination. Rahim and Amina communicated openly, making plans together and supporting each other. They focused on what truly mattered: their shared life, mutual respect, and the bond they were building. Every difficulty strengthened their connection, teaching them patience, teamwork, and understanding. Amina's family, initially worried about the challenges she would face, gradually saw Rahim's sincerity. They noticed how carefully he spoke to her, how he made her feel independent, and how deeply he cared about her happiness. Their doubts slowly transformed into admiration. They realized that Rahim's commitment was genuine, and Amina's life would be filled with love and respect. This support from her family gave both Rahim and Amina additional confidence as they stepped closer to marriage. Through these months, Rahim and Amina's relationship grew in ways that words could hardly capture. They laughed together, shared dreams, and supported each other's fears. Rahim's dedication and Amina's determination created a balance that neither had expected. They were not just preparing for a wedding, they were preparing for a lifetime of shared experiences, challenges, and victories. Every small step, every moment of understanding, was laying the foundation for a strong, lasting bond. By the end of this period, Rahim had transformed from a quiet, thoughtful young man into someone who truly understood the meaning of responsibility, empathy, and love. He had learned that life was not about avoiding challenges, but facing them with courage and patience. Amina, too, had grown in confidence, realizing that her blindness was not a limitation, but a part of her identity that could be embraced and celebrated. Together, they were ready to begin the next chapter of their life, stronger and more united than ever before. As Part 2 concludes, the story emphasizes the growing strength of their relationship in the face of societal judgment, personal doubts, and the preparation for a shared life. Rahim and Amina had learned that love was not just an emotion, but a series of choices to support, understand, and respect each other every single day. Their journey was far from easy, but it was already proving that kindness, courage, and commitment could overcome prejudice and lay the foundation for a beautiful life together. After the wedding, Rahim and Amina entered a new chapter of their lives, a chapter that was full of excitement, hope, and challenges they had never faced before. The wedding itself had been a modest but joyful celebration. Close family members and a few supportive friends attended, while the rest of the town watched quietly, some with curiosity, some with doubt. For Rahim and Amina, the wedding was not just a ceremony. It was the beginning of a shared life that would test their patience, love, and resilience in ways neither of them could fully imagine. Living together brought new realities. Rahim and Amina moved into a small home, carefully prepared by Rahim during the engagement period. The home was adapted to Amina's needs with tactile markers, organized spaces, and safety measures. But even with these adjustments, everyday life was a learning process for both of them. Amina had to learn new routines, while Rahim had to learn how to guide her without overprotecting her. At first, it was a slow process. Simple things like cooking together or navigating the kitchen became exercises in patience and communication. Yet every small accomplishment filled them with confidence and strengthened their bond. Despite their efforts, challenges soon emerged. Some neighbors could not hide their judgment and occasionally made rude comments or whispered insults. "How can he manage her needs?" they asked. "She will always be a burden." Rahim heard these words, but he chose to ignore them. He focused instead on understanding Amina's strengths and supporting her independence. He knew that criticism from outsiders would never define their life together. What mattered most was the trust, care, and partnership they were building inside their home. Amina, too, faced her own struggles. For her, life after marriage was both liberating and frightening. She had the freedom to make choices, yet the responsibility of living independently weighed heavily on her. She worried about disappointing Rahim, about making mistakes, or about failing to contribute meaningfully to their home. However, Rahim's unwavering support reassured her. He did not scold her for mistakes or make her feel incapable. Instead, he guided her gently, celebrating every step of progress and offering encouragement whenever she felt uncertain. As days turned into weeks, Rahim realized that marriage was not just about love or companionship. It was about problem-solving together. Financial difficulties were a constant reality. Rahim's family shop provided enough for basic living, but unexpected expenses, repairs, and daily necessities added pressure. He worked tirelessly, often staying late at the shop, while also making time to teach Amina skills that would help her manage the household independently. Amina, in turn, began finding small ways to contribute. She prepared simple meals, organized the home, and even learned to manage household finances with Rahim's guidance. Their teamwork slowly created a sense of balance, showing that challenges could be overcome when faced together. One particularly challenging period came when Rahim fell ill. A sudden fever left him bedridden for several days. Amina, despite her blindness, took full responsibility for his care. She cooked, cleaned, and ensured he took his medicines on time. At first, she feared she would fail, but she discovered an inner strength she never knew she had. Rahim, seeing her determination and care, felt a deep surge of pride and gratitude. He realized that her blindness was never a limitation. It was her courage, intelligence, and empathy that defined her. That experience strengthened their bond and proved that together, they could handle any difficulty. Social life presented another set of challenges. Rahim had friends and relatives who were curious about their marriage. Some visited with genuine interest, while others subtly tried to test Amina's abilities or Rahim's patience. Questions ranged from practical concerns to judgmental remarks about her blindness. Rahim always answered politely, never letting anger show, while Amina responded with honesty and confidence. Over time, many visitors began to admire their partnership, seeing that respect, patience, and love were more powerful than any prejudice. This slow change in perception, though not immediate, gave them hope that their example could influence others positively. As they settled further into married life, Rahim and Amina faced moments of emotional struggle. There were times when Amina felt frustrated with her limitations, wishing she could experience the world as others did. She sometimes felt self-conscious or insecure when strangers stared or made comments. Rahim comforted her, reminding her of her strength and worth. He often said, "Amina, the world may not understand your journey, but I do, and that is what matters." His words became a source of courage for her. She learned to focus on what she could do rather than what she could not, slowly gaining confidence in her independence. Communication became a vital part of their relationship. Rahim learned to describe things in detail for Amina, helping her see the world through words. He would narrate the colors of flowers, the changing sky, or the expressions of people they met. Amina, in turn, learned to share her experiences vividly, expressing emotions and thoughts that often made Rahim see things in a new way. Together, they discovered that understanding and empathy could create a world where physical limitations mattered less than emotional connection. Financial responsibility continued to test them. Rahim's family shop faced competition from newer stores in town, which threatened their modest income. Rahim worked long hours to ensure stability, often sacrificing personal rest or leisure. Amina, despite her blindness, began helping by keeping records, organizing stock mentally, and assisting in small but meaningful ways. Their teamwork not only eased the burden, but also demonstrated to the town that people with disabilities, when supported, could contribute significantly to daily life. One day, a small crisis arose that tested their partnership further. A fire accidentally broke out in the kitchen while Rahim was away at the shop. Amina, though initially panicked, remembered Rahim's guidance on handling emergencies. She quickly acted to put out the fire safely, calling neighbors for help and ensuring their home was secured. When Rahim returned, he was amazed by her courage and composure. This incident became a turning point, proving to both of them that fear could be overcome with calm thinking and confidence. Their shared experiences like this strengthened their trust in each other and deepened their emotional connection. Through these trials, Rahim and Amina learned important life lessons. They realized that happiness was not about the absence of problems, but the ability to face them together. They discovered that empathy, patience, and love were far more valuable than society's approval. Their bond grew deeper with each challenge, and they began to see themselves not just as a couple, but as a team capable of navigating life's difficulties with grace and courage. As months turned into a year, Rahim and Amina's story began to influence the people around them. Some of the neighbors who had been critical at first now admired their perseverance. Even distant relatives started to acknowledge that their marriage was built on something far stronger than appearances. Amina, once underestimated, became an example of resilience, showing that physical limitations could never define a person's worth. Rahim's commitment and unwavering support became a lesson in responsibility, courage, and the power of unconditional love. During this time, the couple also began planning for the future. They dreamed of expanding their home, creating a small garden, and perhaps even starting a small business together. Amina expressed her desire to help other children with disabilities, using her experiences to guide them toward independence and confidence. Rahim fully supported her vision, recognizing that her wisdom and empathy could inspire others. Together, they began laying the foundation for a life that would not only sustain them, but also make a positive impact on their community. By the end of this period, Rahim and Amina had grown in ways neither had anticipated. They had faced societal judgment, personal doubts, and practical challenges, yet their relationship had become stronger and more meaningful. They had learned that marriage was not just a bond between two people, but a partnership that required patience, understanding, and shared responsibility. Each difficulty they overcame became a stepping stone, building resilience, trust, and deeper love. Part 3 closes with Rahim and Amina standing together as equals, partners, and friends. They had faced their first real trials as a married couple and had emerged stronger. Their journey was far from over, but they had proven to themselves and others that love, courage, and empathy could overcome obstacles that once seemed insurmountable. The challenges they faced were not merely tests, they were opportunities to grow, understand each other more deeply, and create a life filled with meaning, dignity, and hope. As Rahim and Amina's life together progressed, they began to experience a transformation that went beyond their personal relationship. What had started as a marriage filled with uncertainty and challenges was gradually becoming a life of meaning, purpose, and inspiration. Their love for each other was no longer just private. It began to influence the people around them in subtle but powerful ways. The struggles they had faced together, society's judgment, daily adjustments, financial difficulties, and personal doubts, had strengthened not only their bond but also their character. They were learning that true happiness and fulfillment came from perseverance, empathy, and shared responsibility. One of the first major changes came from their realization that they could help others who were struggling with similar challenges. Amina, despite her blindness, had developed a remarkable ability to understand and guide others. She noticed that many children in the town who were visually impaired faced prejudice, neglect, or lack of education. These children often felt isolated and undervalued, just as Amina had once felt. She shared her thoughts with Rahim, who immediately encouraged her to turn this concern into action. Together, they began planning ways to support these children, teaching them basic skills and giving them confidence to live independently. Rahim took an active role in this mission. Using the resources he had, he began organizing small workshops in their home, inviting children and parents to learn practical skills. He taught them simple tasks like navigating their home safely, organizing belongings, and reading Braille. Amina, with her unique perspective, guided the children emotionally, helping them develop confidence and self-respect. The couple's efforts soon gained attention. What had once been a marriage mocked by some had now become a source of hope and admiration. People began to see that the real strength of a person was measured not by physical abilities, but by courage, determination, and the willingness to help others. Their work was not without challenges. Many parents were skeptical, doubting that their children could learn from a blind woman, or that the guidance provided at their home could make any real difference. Rahim and Amina faced criticism from those who still held prejudices. "She is blind herself. How can she teach children?" some would ask. Rahim never argued or tried to prove himself with words. Instead, he let their actions speak. Slowly, as children gained confidence and skills, and as parents saw the change in their children, the couple's work began to earn respect and recognition. During this time, Rahim and Amina also faced the personal challenge of balancing their charitable work with their own home life. Running the home, managing the family shop, and helping others required careful planning and cooperation. Rahim often stayed up late to manage accounts, plan workshops, and prepare for the next day. Amina, on her part, organized schedules, ensured the home ran smoothly, and focused on teaching and mentoring the children. Together, they developed a routine that allowed them to meet their responsibilities while continuing to grow as a couple. Every day became a lesson in patience, organization, and teamwork. As their influence grew, so did the recognition of their marriage in the community. Neighbors who had once mocked them began to approach them for advice. Some came seeking guidance for children with disabilities, while others were curious about how Rahim and Amina managed to remain happy and united despite challenges. Their home became a place of learning and inspiration, not just for those facing physical limitations, but for anyone struggling with difficulties in life. People began to understand that courage and compassion could overcome prejudice, and that partnership in marriage was about support, understanding, and shared growth. One of the most profound changes occurred within Rahim himself. He began to see the world in a different light. The patience, empathy, and understanding he had developed in caring for Amina and supporting the children had transformed him into a man of remarkable wisdom. He had learned to listen deeply, to act thoughtfully, and to face problems with calm determination. Challenges that once seemed daunting now became opportunities to grow and teach. Rahim realized that true leadership and strength were not about physical prowess or societal approval. They were about integrity, courage, and the ability to uplift others. Amina, too, underwent a remarkable transformation. Once a girl who had relied heavily on her family and had faced constant doubt from society, she had become a confident, independent woman. She learned to navigate the world with skill, teach others with patience, and manage her household effectively. More importantly, she learned to trust her own abilities and to embrace her blindness not as a limitation, but as a unique part of who she was. Her confidence inspired the children she taught and the adults who witnessed her determination. Amina's life became a living example that obstacles could be overcome with courage, effort, and a positive mindset. Their relationship grew deeper and more resilient. Rahim and Amina discovered that love was not only about feelings, but also about shared values, mutual respect, and collective effort. Every obstacle they faced together, financial struggles, societal judgment, and personal doubts, became a source of strength rather than division. They learned to celebrate small victories, support each other during failures, and communicate openly about their thoughts and feelings. This deep understanding created a bond that was unshakable, built not on convenience or appearances, but on genuine care, respect, and commitment. Over time, the couple began to expand their work in the community. They started collaborating with local schools and organizations to provide resources for children with disabilities. Rahim helped establish workshops and training sessions, while Amina focused on mentorship, emotional support, and skill building. Their efforts created a ripple effect, inspiring other families to support their children's education and independence. What had begun as a private act of courage in marriage had now turned into a public mission of hope, empowerment, and social change. Financial stability remained a constant concern. While the family shop continued to provide for their needs, the growing responsibilities of community work required careful budgeting and planning. Rahim often worked extra hours, while Amina found creative ways to manage resources efficiently. They learned the value of sacrifice and strategic planning, understanding that long-term goals often required temporary discomfort. Despite these challenges, they remained committed to their mission, motivated by the positive changes they were creating in the lives of others. As their influence grew, Rahim and Amina also became advocates for social awareness. They spoke to parents, teachers, and local authorities about the importance of understanding, supporting, and empowering children with disabilities. Their personal story became a powerful example, demonstrating that inclusion, empathy, and patience could transform lives. The couple's efforts not only helped individuals, but also gradually changed the mindset of the community. People who had once mocked or doubted them now approached them with respect, seeking guidance and support. Amidst these efforts, Rahim and Amina never lost sight of their personal life. They celebrated small joys together, quiet evenings at home, shared meals, walks through the village, and moments of laughter. These simple experiences reminded them that love was not just about grand gestures, but about daily companionship, understanding, and support. They celebrated anniversaries quietly, reflecting on how far they had come and the journey that still lay ahead. Their personal happiness became intertwined with their mission to help others, creating a life filled with purpose, meaning, and fulfillment. By the end of this period, Rahim and Amina had not only transformed their own lives, but also influenced the lives of many around them. They had faced societal judgment, financial struggles, and personal doubts, yet their marriage had become a model of resilience, empathy, and courage. The lessons they learned about patience, love, perseverance, and empowerment were not confined to their home. They radiated outward, touching children, parents, and the wider community. Part 4 closes with Rahim and Amina standing as pillars of inspiration in their town. Their journey shows that challenges are not obstacles to happiness, but opportunities to grow, lead, and create positive change. Through their marriage, they had learned that love is not just about emotions, but about shared responsibility, empathy, and the courage to face difficulties together. Their story had become more than a personal journey. It was now a legacy of hope, kindness, and transformation for everyone who witnessed it. Years passed since Rahim and Amina first decided to face life together. What had once been a marriage doubted and mocked by many had now become a story admired by the entire town. Their journey, full of challenges, patience, and growth, had shaped them into people of wisdom, empathy, and strength. But their story was not only about personal success. It was about leaving a legacy, touching the lives of others, and inspiring change in a community that had once doubted them. Rahim and Amina's home, which had once been carefully adapted for Amina's needs, had now become a center of learning and guidance. Children with disabilities came regularly to learn practical skills, gain confidence, and receive mentorship. Some arrived shy and hesitant, unsure of what to expect. By the end of their visits, these children walked away with confidence, courage, and hope. Rahim and Amina had created more than just a safe space. They had created a nurturing environment where children learned that their limitations did not define their worth or their future. Amina herself had grown into a remarkable teacher and mentor. She guided each child with patience, understanding, and empathy, knowing exactly how to meet their needs. Her blindness, once thought to be a barrier, became an asset. She taught the children that challenges could be transformed into strengths, and that determination and perseverance could overcome obstacles. Parents who had initially been skeptical now expressed deep gratitude, often saying that Amina's guidance had changed their children's lives in ways they could never have imagined. Rahim, on the other hand, had grown into a leader in the community. His humility, patience, and dedication earned him the respect of neighbors, friends, and even those who had once mocked his marriage. He continued to run the family shop, but he also managed the workshops, organized events, and worked tirelessly to ensure that every child who came to their home received proper guidance. Rahim had learned that true leadership was not about authority or control, but about service, empathy, and unwavering commitment to others' well-being. The couple's efforts gradually attracted attention from outside their town as well. Local schools and organizations invited them to share their experiences, seeking guidance on how to include and empower children with disabilities. Rahim and Amina embraced these opportunities, traveling to different areas, sharing their story, and teaching others the importance of patience, empathy, and encouragement. Their lives had become an example not only of love, but also of social change, showing that even in a small town, a committed couple could inspire transformation that reached far beyond their immediate surroundings. Financial challenges remained a reality, but Rahim and Amina had learned to face them with wisdom and resilience. They managed their resources carefully, prioritized their goals, and sought creative solutions to support both their home and their community work. Occasionally, unexpected problems arose: a sudden medical expense, a needed repair, or extra costs for the children's education. But they faced each challenge calmly and together. Every difficulty they overcame became another lesson in resilience and teamwork, teaching them and others that persistence, planning, and patience could overcome most obstacles. Their personal life continued to thrive as well. Rahim and Amina celebrated small joys together: quiet mornings with tea, shared meals, evenings listening to the sounds of the village, and walks where Rahim described the beauty around them to Amina. These simple moments reminded them that happiness was built not on grandeur, but on love, companionship, and shared experiences. Their laughter, conversations, and quiet companionship became the foundation of a home filled with warmth, trust, and mutual respect. As their family grew, Rahim and Amina became parents. They approached parenthood with the same patience, love, and understanding that had guided their marriage. They taught their children about empathy, responsibility, and resilience, sharing stories of their own journey and the lessons they had learned. Amina, especially, instilled in their children the belief that challenges were opportunities, that kindness mattered more than judgment, and that courage came from determination and heart, not from physical ability. Their children grew up witnessing the strength of a partnership built on respect and care. They watched their mother guide others with confidence, their father support and lead with patience, and both parents worked tirelessly to make a positive impact in the world. The lessons of empathy, perseverance, and courage became a natural part of their upbringing, preparing them to face life with wisdom and compassion. Rahim and Amina knew that the legacy they left was not only in their work, but also in the values they instilled in their children. Over time, the couple's story became well known throughout the region. People often came to visit them, not only to seek guidance, but also to witness the example of a marriage that had overcome societal judgment, personal challenges, and everyday struggles. Rahim and Amina never sought fame or recognition. Their goal had always been to live a meaningful life, guided by love, respect, and empathy. Yet, the respect and admiration they received became a testament to the power of perseverance, kindness, and integrity. One of the most remarkable aspects of their journey was how they had transformed public perception. The town that once whispered and laughed at their union now celebrated it. People who had doubted them became advocates of understanding and inclusion. Parents began sending their children with disabilities to school and encouraging them to pursue dreams without fear. Teachers began adopting methods to include all children in education. The couple's quiet courage had sparked a broader social change, showing that individual actions could ripple out and influence an entire community. Even in old age, Rahim and Amina remained active, working with children, mentoring young couples, and nurturing their family and community. Their home continued to be a place of learning, warmth, and inspiration. The love they had nurtured over decades remained strong, deepened by shared experiences, challenges overcome, and the countless lives they had touched. Each day brought new lessons, new opportunities to give, and new moments of joy. Their marriage had become a living example that love, patience, and courage could overcome societal prejudice and personal obstacles alike. As they reflected on their life together, Rahim and Amina often recalled the early days when people had mocked their union. They remembered the doubts, whispers, and judgments, and they realized that those early challenges had been blessings in disguise. The hardships had strengthened their resolve, deepened their love, and taught them the true value of empathy, patience, and teamwork. They had learned that happiness was not about avoiding difficulties, but about facing them together, supporting each other, and lifting others along the way. Their story was now a legacy. It taught that marriage was more than companionship. It was about partnership, respect, shared responsibility, and the courage to stand together against judgment. It showed that limitations, whether physical or societal, could be overcome with determination, love, and guidance. And it proved that small acts of kindness, when combined with perseverance and courage, could transform not just individual lives but entire communities. As Part 5 concludes, Rahim and Amina's life stands as an enduring example of hope, courage, and inspiration. From a union doubted by many to a partnership admired by all, their journey demonstrates the transformative power of love, empathy, and determination. They had faced challenges, grown together, impacted others positively, and left behind a legacy of kindness and resilience. Their story reminds us that true vision comes from the heart, that courage is born from commitment, and that the most meaningful lives are built not on privilege or ease, but on love, perseverance, and the courage to do what is right. Rahim and Amina's lives, their family, and the community they nurtured continue to carry the lessons they lived every day. Their story is a celebration of humanity's potential for compassion, resilience, and love. In the end, what mattered most was not the laughter or judgment of others, but the life they built together, a life of dignity, purpose, and inspiration that will continue to impact generations to come.